Hello and welcome to another episode of Ken Training, where we try to give you the education that you need to tackle jobs like today's job and others like it on your own. Today's job is going to be installing a sill screed or a weep screed. It's basically the same thing. I'm doing a stucco job. This is the first thing that goes on the building in order to create the correct system that you're trying, the stucco drainage system that you're trying to deal with. Stucco is a porous product. The way that the system works is that even though the stucco is going to be painted, in this case it's going to be painted, then the water, when it's raining, a little bit of it will permeate through the paint, or in poorly painted sections it'll penetrate and go through the stucco. And then in back of the stucco there's building paper, type D building paper, and then it's going to wick or drip its way down. Then finally at the bottom you're going to have this thing called a sill screed or a weep screed. I'll show it to you in just a second. And then the water drains out from there. You can check out my channel for the whole series of this whole project. This video is focusing on just installing how to install the sill screed or weep screed on an exterior, on an outside corner wall. Of course it's on the exterior of the house. Okay, so let me show you the project. I am using my Code Check Complete 2nd edition guide here as a as like a code item to help me make sure I'm installing this properly. This is what we're actually going to be installing. This piece of metal right here. In this book they call it a weep screed. You go to the Home Depot, they call it a sill screed. It's the same thing, okay? The code wants the weep screed to be a minimum of 1 inch below the joint at the foundation. We'll get that measurement and you'll see they take it from the bottom of the weep screed, okay? And then after the weep screed goes on, then my building paper can go on, then my wire, and then my stucco. The first step in this process is the weep screed. So that's the step that we are at right now. Let's get to it. Oh, and we just have, when we do the installation, this is the measurement we have to make sure we're maintaining. 1 inch between the bottom of the wood, or the joint between the cement and the wood, and the bottom of the weep screed. This here's what the weep screed, sill screed looks like, and you can see that there's the drainage holes right there that just basically go right through when it does the draining, okay? And I got two 10-foot sections. That's one 10-foot section there, and then here's the second 10-foot section. This here's the portion of the wall that I had to demo out because the stucco had failed, and I left a little bit of the existing weep screed of the house that was there, and that's where I did my cut. So that's where we are going to do a 2-inch overlap over that, approximately 2 inches, somewhere between 1 and 2 inches overlap. Then we're going to come across here, making sure we maintain that 1 inch distance and make sure it's level. And then we're going to do an outside corner. Then we have to come around the corner over here and then do an outside corner, come across, terminate right there, because now this product doesn't need a weep screed. It's not stucco. That's what this was for a stucco wall. So the first thing that I want to do is get a measurement of the overlap over there. What I want to do is I just want to make sure that that hole is going to be right about here. So this way there's a nice drainage coming out of this section, an area for the water to drain. And then whatever that overlap is, and then we'll figure out and do that outside wall corner. Oh, and by the way, the nails that I'm going to be attaching this with, I'm going to be using these nails right here, which are 4D 1.5 inch nails, and they are galvanized, exterior galvanized nails. This is what they look like, just to get an idea. And I got some tin snips so we can cut the tin, the metal. And I also got a black Sharpie and a speed square so we can do the outside corner joint properly. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a measurement from here down to this section over here. That measurement is about 2 inches, so we are easily meeting the 1 inch minimum requirement of the gap needed. So if I take this and just come over here, make sure that that hole is not being buried, and use that as an overlap, just like that, I'll be fine, okay? So I want to just tack this in temporarily so that I can work on the other side. I have a level here, so what I can do is I can just take this, level this out, which is right there. Now what we want to do is take the outside edge here, which basically take it right there. I'm just going to cut that back slightly, right about there. But from the outside edge, which is right here, we want to go 7/8 of an inch over. Do it this way. So if I go 7/8 of an inch from this mark, it takes you to right here, and that is where you want to do a 45-degree angle. Now, basically it's a 45-degree angle like this. I'll cut it a little fat. I can always trim that back, but that's going to be the outside corner. So I'm going to cut down and cut over right there. And then this will be this piece right here. So let's remove this and cut this out. Alright, I'm just going to try to clean this up with my lineman's pliers. Just trying to straighten that out. Plus I have a straight bladed screwdriver here. Just to see if I can't clean this up a little bit. There. It's not perfect, but that might actually pass for an outside corner there. I was double checking the measurement from the wood to the bottom of the weep screed, and when I did that I realized that the weep screed was not installed level. I figured out a better way to attach the level to make sure that everything was good, and as you can see right here, you just put it on the my particular torpedo level has got a magnetic strip on the bottom, so I don't have to try to wiggle it on top like that, and I have it angled improperly. So I want to take that one nail out that's temporarily holding it and just adjust that right now that I can use the level this way to get the proper bubble on it without holding the level. So let me do that right now. We'll go ahead and pull this out. And now I can have complete control on how I do the level. It's got a magnetic strip. It attaches there pretty good. And then I'll just look at my bubble and get it just perfect, which is right there. Get a nail in place to hold it. That's a lot easier than the way I was doing it, and now this is level. So now we'll go ahead and make up this other side. What I want to do is I want to make up a an outside corner with this scrap piece of weep screed that we had from the first cut. So what I'm going to do is just take this, get a nice straight 90 on it, bring that down, pretend that's the edge that I'm trying to create the outside corner for, okay? And then what we'll do is we will create the outside corner with this. So first let me cut this. That rib is hard to cut. There we go. Okay. It's not perfect, but it's okay. This is just a test piece to try to create an outside corner. Plus, I guess it can show you the audience and how I'm doing this. Okay. So now, well, you better wear gloves when you do this. There's very sharp pieces here. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to cut this so it's going to be an outside corner. So I want to cut this back 7/8 of an inch. So what I'll do is take my Sharpie. Now in this particular case, what I'll do is I'll actually go back 1 inch. I'll take my speed square. That's 1 inch, so it's 1/8 inch over. And now, you know what? I could actually do this. Tell you what, we'll just go exactly 7/8 of an inch. That way we don't have to do that jog in the metal that we did last time. So that's about 7/8 of an inch. Take the speed square like this, and we're trying to create an outside corner. So let's think for a second. What we need is we need this to go. How do I do this? That's that would be the wrong corner. Oh, it would be on this side. It'd be like this. Alright, so let me put this down for a second. There. That's your edge right there. Let's try to cut that up and see if we can't do this. This pair of shears might not even be the right one for this. Let's see if I got a different pair. I got two different pairs of shears. I got this one here. Looks like it just does a straight cut. And this one here, let's see how well this does. Well, maybe this one would be better. Heck, that's not bad. That's pretty good. Hang on here. Just kind of guessing at this one. Oh, it's tough. That is a tough cut. The metal's not being friendly. That's real hard. Alright, let's see here. Okay, there's that. Let's try it with this one. Alright, that might give us an outside corner. Let's go ahead and give that a go and see if that actually will work for us. This is just a test piece. I'm just doing this just to test before we get to the real one, just to look at the which cutting shear is going to be the best to work with, as well as what does a pretty outside corner look like. Let's go test this one out. Alright, so this is what it would look like here. Matching that. I could round that off a little bit with the snips, or even a hammer, whatever. Take that little nose off right there. I think this is going to work out fine though, ultimately. Especially if I put a couple of nails in here. I could even bring this back slightly. I think this is going to work out fine though, right like that. The wood is a little heavy here. This might need to come over this way a little bit. I maybe have this a little bit too shy. So, because this is just going to sit like this. When I go to screw this in, this section should come down further. So I'm going to loosen this up and bring it down this way. I don't know. Looks like 3/8 of an inch. So let's move this down 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so now that I moved that over, this is what it will look like on this side as long as I match this up. That's a great corner right there, so that's perfect. We're going to go with this, leaving that alone. Now we just need to cut this piece right here. We can use the actual piece for the measurement, and this is going to be right about like this. This is going to come, oh, actually that can even come right behind. So I have some leeway here. So I'll bring this in all the way, cut this on this side. Actually, here, do this exact. Straight down. Pretty much that's the cut right there that we're looking for. So let's go ahead and cut it up. Alright, so here's how I ended up finishing up this piece. So there's your corner bead right there with the outside corner edge. 2 nails in right there, and then at least a nail every stud. There's an extra nail there. Let's see that. Yeah, put one right there, and right there. So it should be totally secured and anchored. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do basically the same thing and nail this one up. Okay, so over here you can see I basically put wherever there was an opening or a hole is where I put a fastener, you know, the 4D nails, galvanized nails, and then nailed that whole thing in. There's a little bit of a gap there, but you know, it's not bad. It is what it is. And basically this whole drip screed here is 100% solidly anchored. Alright, so I'm out here and I'm just double checking my my weep screed here just to verify that the elevation is meeting the code. So what I'm doing is, we know that the sill plate on this house right here where my finger's touching, that's a 2x4, okay? So I just have just a block of wood 2x4 spare sitting out here, and I'm just kind of putting it out here like this and eyeballing the depth of the sill plate to my 2x4 here. If I wanted to, I could use my tape measure as well and just measure it down, but pretty much this is very close. And now here is the depth distance of how much distance you have from where the bottom of the sill plate is to the bottom edge here of the weep screed. We know per code that that distance has to be a minimum of 1 inch. So I just measured it out here, and I believe that measurement came out to 1.5 inch. Let me put the camera on the cradle to show you how I did it. Alright, so this is about as low as I can go with the cradle. Now, let me just show you with using the tape measure, okay? So if I take my tape measure and go down to the sill plate and then come across, I can see that that is just about 1.5 inches. So come over here, go to 1.5 inches, right there, close enough, and now make a mark, okay? Then take my 2x4, 2x4, put that like this, then kind of level that out, and then make a mark. So now we know that that this mark where my finger is right here is the bottom of the sill plate, because the sill plate is a 2x4. Then taking a tape measure, we're measuring from underneath the weep screed at the bottom to that location. That distance is 1 3/8, or 1 1/4, 1 1/4 to 1 3/8. So we know that that distance has to be 1 inch minimum, and in our case it's 1 1/4 inches. So we're meeting code. And so I'm just trying to demonstrate how you can check to determine if you're installing your weep screed at the correct elevation and meeting the code. You have to make sure that the water is not going to come in contact with the sill plate. That's the whole purpose of this system, is to keep the water off of the sill plate. So you have to make sure that you're low enough. The lower that you go, they say the more structurally weaker you are. But so, and per code you have to be a minimum of 1 inch anyways. But technically it would be better if it was let's just say 1.5 inch, 1 3/4 inch. In my particular case, I was trying to match up an elevation on the other side, and that's why mine is installed at this elevation. Let me show you. In my case, this isn't a whole brand new house. This is an existing house, okay, with the stucco wall, and we're just doing a repair where the stucco had failed under the window. There is an existing weep screed right there, the rusted out one that I matched up to, and I just simply put my weep screed following that exact same elevation, used a level, and then carried it across. But I just wanted to make sure that I'm still meeting code and I still have that 1 inch gap, exactly the way I just demonstrated on this entire strip here. And you should be doing the same thing to make sure that your weep screed is below the sill plate and not going to get water on that sill plate. Alright, I've got the building paper here. That is the next thing. Well, actually I got to put the insulation in the walls. Then I got to put the building paper on. That's going to be the next thing that goes on. So first I got to put the insulation into the walls. Go ahead and follow the link to the next series in this video segment series in order to see the next step, putting the insulation in the wall, and then following that, putting the building paper on to the exterior wall. Please click on like. I hope you liked the video. If you didn't like it, please leave a comment why you didn't like the video. Subscribe to my channel, Ken Training, and I will catch you on the flip side.